guys, what is going on? Welcome to another episode of Music Row Hideout, the show where we hang out with artists, musicians, and entertainers in Waylon Jennings' old basement studio. My name is Jury, and as always, I'm gathered here with co-host Ryan Poole. Well, pass it to introduce the guest.
Well, tonight, on a very special episode of Music Row Hideout,
The most special.
we have the man behind the myth. Now, as we've discussed on former episodes of Music Row Hideout, the very center of the Nashville music scene is none other than Gabrielle Grace. Now, though Gabrielle Grace may not be a household name, she is connected to everyone on Earth, and certainly the music industry by only one degree of separation. And last year we had Gabby on to talk about her newest album, Two Sides of Everything, and the whole story behind that. But the man who produced that record is sitting opposite of me. His name is Keith Harris. Keith, how are you?
I'm good.
I just jumped in to some sort of SNL character there.
I wish I needed the Two Sides hat. Gabby, you need to give me a hat. I don't have a hat.
The hat's been featured on the show.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I saw that, and I don't have one, and that
I have one in the.
it's not good. Put it on.
So, okay, I kind of like in my intro, I jumped into an SNL character there at the end because
Sure.
I wanted to say and mixed, but I actually don't know that. Here's a hat.
Awesome. But I'm gonna put it over the headphones.
There you go.
It looks so cool.
We'll put it here. So maybe
Yeah.
you can-
It might be a little gross smelling because I wore it the whole summer. So if you start smelling gross smell, feel free to
Just
move that hat.
it,
Yeah, chuck that hat. But did you mix the record too?
I did mix the record.
Okay, so and did you engineer it?
Most of it. The basics were engineered by Thomas Doolin at the Planetarium. We did 4 days, 10 songs,
Nice,
kind of on the floor, mostly drums and bass.
nice. And
So-
was that? Have you done Gabby stuff before that, or was this record your first?
I met Gabby. I was hired to mix her very first record, which is now Not on Anything.
Oh.
And then I was kind of brought in.
Not on Anything would be a good name.
It would be
for a
anything.
Gabrielle
It was
Grace
up
record.
and then it was gone, and it was one of those things. They hired me. I was gonna mix it, and then they were like, "Can you help with her vocals?" So she came to my spot, and I met her. She did the vocals at my place, and then I ended up. I think I comped the vocals and then mixed the record. Finished mixing that record because my kid was born early. So this was January 2019. Yeah, it was doing like the mix tweaks in the hospital, like
my
on a
gosh.
laptop, which was like super fun. You know, the world has to keep going. And then a little while later, she was like, "Hey, I've heard stuff that you've done, and I'd love to do an EP with you." So I did the "We'll Be All Right" EP with her, and most of that was kind of COVID, a lot of back and forth, social distance tracking, and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then we did the full length. Yeah, so.
Nice. Have you noticed? Speaking of mixing while your child's being born, have you noticed that
You've
music?
never had that experience,
Yeah.
Ryan.
My wife's having a C-section, like right there. I'm like, hang on, I gotta like tweak this thing. Yeah,
Can you keep it down?
yeah.
Have you noticed that music deadlines aren't real, but people sure like to act like they are?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but how much is that?
Yeah,
How
that's-
much is that the case
Might
of
get you into
everything?
dirty water with clients.
I think
Huh?
that's just the case with everything. And if you just choose not to respect the
Yeah,
dates,
but at the same time, if you don't give me a deadline, I'll never finish anything.
Right.
I'm very much like, I envy the producers and the engineers and like people out there that like can do a track in a day.
Uh-huh.
And it's done. It's like someone came over to my house and we did this song, and now it's like it's out, and then 3 weeks later it's on Spotify. That's not me at all. Like I'm the guy that's like, it's probably gonna take a year to make your record.
I'll get there when I get there. All right.
Yeah, I'm very busy, like, but I'm kind of like shutting off, during the day, like play with the kid for a bit and then go back to work. And so it's kind of, unless we're like having like tracking days, like my work day is usually a little disjointed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same thing. Like, like I don't do music during the day. I do code during the day. I write code, and like the same thing. I was working on something, and they were like, "We have to get this in by the October 4th. We gotta." I October 4th rolls around, and I was like, look, it ain't happening.
not gonna happen.
Just so you know, like,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, all right, we pushed the date back to the 20th. And I was like, what was that first date then? Did it just mean nothing? Like, you just don't care?
There's a few things where it definitely matters. Like,
You're like
if
going to
you're-
court.
Okay, let's just say, okay, if you're pregnant, actually rolling with that. That
Not me.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
that you know of.
That-
So it's
okay.
it's 9-ish months. It's biologically determined. There are certain developmental things that will happen and deadlines of care, and you can't. And no one can control that. And there's real deadlines with a baby. A baby has real, and none of us can change it.
Yes.
But when your song comes out onto Spotify, is a schedule you made up, and and I want to do my best job to try to help you meet your schedule.
Yeah.
But sometimes people want things that are like require you to sacrifice your whole life for, and you know, and we were talking about it before the show about a decision you made to like take a step back at a certain time, where it's just like you start realizing you're like sacrificing your whole life to get people's things done on their time frames. But I heard there was like a more veteran kind of mix engineer I talked to once, and he was like, he taught me like, or what he said was like, every deadline is made up, or I forget how he said it, but his story was that some record label was demanding some mix from him by a date that meant he had to work on Christmas. And he had to finish it because it had to be in for the promotion team. It had to be done. And so he, you know, mixed through Christmas and got it in. And then he was at their office like a month later or something down the road and saw his thing sitting on their shelf unopened, because this was back in the day of CDs.
Right, yeah.
And they hadn't gotten to it yet to listen. And it's like, dude, fucking Suits. People, fucking people who are on the admin sign will make like declarations about what must be, irrespective of the people who make it, and it didn't have to be that way.
Yeah. There's a lot of times now that like if it's like a hard deadline and someone's asking something of me, I'm like, well, I'll need you here, so we can just, you know, mix is going to be done in the room,
Right?
no tweaks.
Which is
You know,
like,
so come over. And all of a sudden, when I start demanding some stuff back,
they're like, we can be flexible.
the flexibility gets a little like, we can maybe mix it on the 26th or something like that. Yeah. I think that's a lot of the reason why I don't really like doing the label stuff anymore. Like with, especially like, I need a button, like a ooh button, like, give me a button. Yeah, something like that'll work. Like, but when I moved to town 8.5 years ago and was doing CCM stuff, contemporary Christian music stuff.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, Baba O'Reilly. There you go. But
as CCM mixer.
CCM stuff.
How'd you wind up there?
Gosh, it would take forever to get the crazy fast deadlines, but then also take you 2 years to get an invoice paid. Yeah, you know, you'd send it and then you'd like reach out and like, hey, you know, oh, so and so quit. Sorry, it's probably sitting on their desk, and it's always the same excuse. It's just sitting on someone's desk. You know, that's the thing. So yeah, there was a couple times I'd have to drive down, kind of over here, and show up and be like, I'm walking out with a check.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna have to. Yeah, but crazy deadlines and stuff like that. So if there was deadlines, I would just ask, you know, to be paid up front for stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and then usually a chart. If you want to mix on Christmas, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money for me to like step away from family.
Christmas gets daddy a present.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Wesley and I found that to be the case with the American Broadcasting Corporation.
ABC.
ABC.
Disney. It's Disney. Yeah.
They wanted to film a documentary here about. I'm always like, what am I allowed to say? I don't care.
Did you sign anything?
They wanted to sign. Yeah, I did at one point, but it was before it came out, and they didn't use us anyway. So they were going to film a documentary here about Reba McEntire. and they were going to film in our tracking room. So Wesley and I like spent a day renovating the studio, and my rallying cry was like, "The Queen is coming. The Queen is coming. We have to make like
Reba,
dude."
yeah.
I'm like, what if Reba comes into this dressing room? There better be snacks. It better be
fancy.
obvious.
Don't let me down. Yeah.
You gonna hit? Oh, I thought you were gonna hit a button.
No, I
it
was
could
reaching for coffee. Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
always reaching for
that
coffee.
very punchy, fancy. Don't let me down. I mean, any button could have worked.
We can recreate it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, say it.
Fancy, don't let me down.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah, you know.
5
I don't know what the
stars
buttons do.
out of
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50%. Anyway, they were going to film their document. So we like renovated the whole space. And then like the morning of at like 5 a.m. when I had to get up to be here for their early start, the director of photography had decided that he thought the room was probably too small. This was based, I mean, it is on the small side. It was based on him looking at pictures and not having ever been here.
Of
I wish
course.
he had stopped by.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they did agree. They had already done a contract with us, so they were going to pay anyway. It took at least 90 days. It took at least 3 or 4 months of back and forth emails. And I've sent it to this person. I've sent it to that person. I've sent it to that
Right.
person. And then finally they paid us. And I've read about this online. Like the big theory is that, I don't know if this is like explicitly stated somewhere or if it's just people theorizing, but that big companies do this because the longer they get to keep the money they have to pay you in a bank account, the more interest they earn or
Right.
in whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that probably
Checks
is the
out.
case in like a grand scale, but I, as someone who's worked in a lot of offices dealing with a lot of money, I'll tell you, people just don't give a fuck. Like people, it just sits there. You're like, I got 50 tasks to do today. I don't care about your stupid
Yeah.
invoice. Like it just falls by the wayside and just falls through the
I'm
cracks.
just gonna say it's like I don't know that to be true, but it's probably 100,000%
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially on like a
Like-
big scale, like a company
Yeah.
paying another company, like millions.
but back in the day, it was like I did a vocal comp and it was like $100, and it's like, why is this taking me a year and a half to get paid $100?
right,
You know, and I think they probably just want you to forget about it.
Sure.
yeah,
You know,
just can't be bothered.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like worth
Eventually,
their
the
efforts.
dog's gonna stop begging for treats, and like start roaming someone else's land. I guess. Yeah.
I feel like you don't own a dog.
you used to own a dog.
I was like,
That's a-
they never stop begging for treats.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I miss my old dog, man.
What kind of dogs you have?
He was a Polish lowland sheepdog.
I don't even know what that is, and I feel like I know all the dogs.
So if you ever watched the show Gilmore Girls,
I'm literally watching through it right now.
he was a Paul Anka.
I must not be that far
Yeah.
yet. I'm only season 3.
He was a really cool dog, and here we go.
That's hella dorbs.
He was like an old English but smaller. He's like 70 pounds, just solid muscle.
70. I thought that was smaller than 70 pounds.
They're
Holy
thick.
gosh,
they're
really?
they're a thick working breed. Yeah, and brought our kid home from the hospital, and he just lost his mind.
Really?
Yeah, he just
Like,
he went
not
nuts.
ready to be number 2.
I don't know what it was, but we tried everything for about 4 months, and then had to give him away.
Classic.
Yeah, because he bit our daughter. so that you can't bite a baby. Turns out. Yeah.
Now, that dog, I don't know if anybody remembers these, but what that dog looked like to me is those things from the 90s. Do you remember? They are like little balls, but they're made out of long, rubbery latex tubes, kind of. They're like, no, they're not
I know what
ringing a
you're
bell.
talking about.
Kind of like a Nerf ball.
I know
thingy.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
Put-
sure.
Pull
we
up
have
the
those.
picture of that dog again, Wesley. That other picture is what did it. It was the running. It was the head of it. But anyway, you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
I don't know what to call these.
I have no idea what those.
It's
I don't even
kind of
know how you'd
like
look
it's
that up.
kind of like a Cush link. Where did you grow up that you guys didn't have this?
I grew up outside of St. Louis.
That's
really
why.
small town called House Springs, Missouri.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, there was nothing there. There's nothing there. Yeah, I was joking around. Like, if you wanted to go to McDonald's, you'd had to go like 2 towns over. And if you wanted to get like kind of fast food, you went to the bowling alley.
Oh wow.
You went to the because they had the
Weird.
little concession
Right,
stand at
like
the
hot
bowling
dog
alley.
or
Yeah,
something.
that's where you could go get a cheeseburger.
I bet they had a Dollar General though.
No.
Oh, really?
No, like
Surprised.
there was a Walmart and a Price Chopper. And that was it.
Walmart probably pushed them out.
Probably.
Sorry, I just watched a long thing about Dollar General, and
Yeah.
it's like on the brain because their like business model is insane.
like kind of a sad state of affairs. It's like I watched a documentary on Dollar General, and all I came out with is I hate Walmart.
No, it's actually fascinating how their like whole business model works because it works on we will spend nothing for this store.
Yeah.
You have one
Yeah.
employee at a time, and you only put it in far out places where there is no other option for people to buy things.
Yeah.
That way, that's where they get all their stuff.
I mean, we've had road trips where we're going to the beach or something, and then you get off the highway, and then it's a couple hours of like just back roads
and a
like,
Dollar General.
and then there's a Dollar General,
Yeah.
yeah. And then 2 miles down the road, there's another Dollar General, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, highly recommend it. It was like a YouTube documentary, so you'll never find it. By Wendover Productions. Look it up.
Okay, so how long have you been in town for, and what got you into what gave you the producer bug?
Probably when I was 19, I got hired to do percussion overdubs on someone's record. And it was like
It was probably a really exciting day.
it was a very exciting day,
Like,
yeah.
on a record.
It was somewhat like gosh, it was a Digio 1, remember like that whole thing? And so I'm playing the djembe on stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then like it was one of those things, the guy that was producing it kind of took off, like because no one was being serious about it, like he didn't care. There was probably not much money involved. But for me at 19, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever gotten to do.
Like, not only
you
would
know?
I do this for free, I'd pay to do this.
Yeah, I probably did pay. I probably lost gas money doing it. And he just like, the dude just like took off, like, and he was just gone. And but like she'd booked this studio that wasn't the producer's studio, but they booked this studio in someone's house for like 4 hours, and I was done in an hour. And she was like, well, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, you could put some like mandolin on that song. And she was like, who are we? I was like, I've got mine in the car. And so next thing you know, like I'm there for 2 hours. Then it was like 3 hours. I could put a little bass on this. You know, like I was just doing whatever. I was just a kid in a candy store having a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, maybe you should be the producer. And I was like, haha, what's a producer?
Yeah.
Then I went home and like started looking.
Turns
It's like,
out
oh,
no one knows.
yeah, like no, 40 years old now, still don't know what I'm doing.
Maybe they make beats.
Yeah, that's just arcade. So yeah, that's what I did. Like, and I just kind of got the bug, and yeah, it was really kind of in that time. And then I was like, I want to do this for real. And then it's like, oh, it's a lot of money to do this, because back then there was no. You know, I can remember when the first M-Box came out, and that was like the first kind of foray into like home recording. But back then you'd had to have computers with cards and, you know, all this kind of crazy stuff. But I used to have the, like my first thing was like the 888s. Remember those things? The black, they were the DigiDesign like interface. It sounded awful. They were terrible.
No, I
It was
started on an M-Box.
It was the precursor to like the 192s that came out, but it was like a black thing and it wasn't very good. But yeah, then the M-Box came out, and I remember like going immediately to Guitar Center and getting that thing and getting home and was like, this sounds terrible. Like it was so awful. But I made lots of records on that M-Box, and then M-Box 2 came out, and it was like, this also still sounds terrible. And yeah, what was it? Pro Tools 8?
Yeah. Oh yeah, game changer.
When you could like use your own interface, and it was like, I think I went out and got some Focusrite.
9.
It was 9.
Yeah.
And got some Focusrite thing, and then it's like, this is gonna change the game. And then you play, it's like, this still also sounds terrible. So yeah, that was kind of my first foray into like just wanting to.
Yeah. Did you ever? For me, I was in bands, play drums, as do we all. Studio experience where I got to do. Actually, I had a similar moment where I got to be kid in the candy shop, and I'm like, "What about tambourine? What about hand claps? Can I do a harmony?" And like, it was just me and the engineer, and I got to keep adding stuff. And I'm like, "This is incredible!" And then I bought Pro Tools and went through that journey. But one of the things, my like early that lasted a very long time thing was, why does this not sound like a record yet? Starting with buying Pro Tools, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what they used in the commercial studio, and I have it now. It doesn't sound like a record.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you gotta have a condenser microphone. Okay, here's my $100
Yeah.
MXL.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't sound like a record. Oh, you have to EQ it and like add effects. It's still, and I would just spend hours EQing
Yeah.
my vocal trying to make it sound like a record.
I was pretty lucky because there was my first job was in kind of like a multimedia, place. And
Like next to the bowling alley.
no, it was in Fenton, so it was it was
big
it was
city.
upscale. It was the big city.
I think
there
I
was
was
a Target.
I think I stopped through Fenton recently. Isn't it like just south of Missouri, or sorry, St. Louis? Like it's
yeah.
a suburb of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I worked there, and I was doing like broadcast stuff, like kind of like TV side.
Okay.
And it was like duplicating tapes, and then they had an opening for we need someone to like edit audio, and so that's kind of what I did. And then eventually, again, 20 years old, and then there was a guy. It's like, hey, I heard you play guitar. I need help on this jingle I'm making. So then I'd go and like play guitar on a jingle for the thing. And it was like really
Yeah.
cool. And it's like, this is awesome. But that guy named Carl Casperson was like very into, he does like the math of it, the interface and your conversion. And so he always had like good gear. So like very early on, it was like, oh, what's this API 512?
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't really like it, but it was a little too fast. But then it's like, he had a rack of Neves, and it was like, oh, okay. So then you see like, okay, this sounds pretty good. Like
Yeah.
a 57 into a Neve sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Kind of like, so I learned kind of early on, like, what's this big, he had a Tube Tech CL1B in there, and it was like, okay, that thing sounds pretty great, So
Yeah.
I would hear that, and then I'd save my money. And I remember buying like a Great River, preamp, and so I think early on I was able to kind of like get some really cool
Somebody
stuff.
steered you towards
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that vintage gear actually helps a lot. Like, for instance, like when I started trying to learn how to compress something, I was using the built-in Pro Tools compressor, which gives you
Yeah.
options which has no color and no vibe. It doesn't, all it does is compress an audio signal, and it has attack, release, threshold. I'm sure input and output. What else does it have? It has the slope. It has. Are there any other functions of a compressor?
Knee. I think there's a knee.
There's knee.
Yeah.
And there's soft knee in and out. And I'll bet they had 3 more, and they probably had a side chain.
Mhm.
And so when you're starting out and you look at all that, that's like 8, 9 things. And you're like, what do they all do? How do I affect all
I
these at the
still
same
don't
time?
know what they do half the time. Yeah, I just turning stuff. Yeah.
But meanwhile, if you started on an 1176,
Yeah.
an 1176 has the input, which is also it has a built-in threshold. So you just adjust your input and output.
Mhm.
You could literally just adjust those two and do
Yeah.
pretty good. And then you have like a few changes of ratio you can do, which
Yeah.
that's the other thing. Ratio.
Yeah, like
on
I have
built-in.
I have a black face, and it's like the ratio, the attack release, the release sometimes changes, and the output stays the same, and it's feeding into another compressor. So, like, I just kind of know it's like this is I want to hit
Yeah.
this on the VU, and I just want to make sure it's going into that because it's like the chain goes into like 1176 into an inward connections brute that's like super slow and just kind of has a lot of shine to it.
And then you just use your ears. You kind of have like a little bit of you have a gauge in your ear, and you're like, oh, a little less, a little more. But
Yeah.
when you start in the digital world and you have that like full tweakability of all parameters, it's like everybody who's making great records didn't have that. They
No.
didn't need that.
Yeah.
You don't need to be able to do 2.46 to 1 compression.
Right. Yeah.
And you can just get so bogged down in the minutia of like, God, is 2.48 better? Or 2.43?
Yeah, it drives some of the the plugins out today drives me insane because I just want it to 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 4-to-1. Like that's all I want. Like I don't the ones that you can just gradually I'm just gonna turn it until that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's where it's like all of a sudden it sounds good. So because I'm not there's enough technical in what I do, but like I also just want to be gut instinct, and if it blows up, it blows up. I really don't care. You know, that's kind of my world of making music, is just kind of like, I want to be fast. I'm not fast at making your record, but in the moment, I want to just kind of throw it up and have it going.
Yeah.
Like get a sound as quick as we can.
And just not worry about all the little tiny things that.
Yeah, because things can always be retract. You know, I want to make sure it's not clipping or anything like that. Because there's a lot of artists that I work with that a lot of times the scratch vocal is what you hear, like when it's done, because it just can't be beat. There's an artist I work with a lot. Her name's Carson Hill. I mean, dear God, when you want to make sure the mic's right, because it's like that's probably gonna be it.
Dang.
When we're done here. I did an EP for her a long time ago. She's very young. But like what you hear on that EP is like almost all scratch vocal. Maybe we'd cut in and punch a couple words on some stuff.
And
but
do you just find like there's more emotion in that one, or it's better somehow?
yeah, it was just kind of like it had the vibe, it had the thing. And like when they got in their head and started thinking about it and trying to sing everything like super correct, it didn't have the same feel anymore. Yeah. This guy's going to come into the room, isn't he? There he is. There he is.
Son of a bitch.
Hey. Hey, guy.
But not only did you call him out, you did it in advance of him walking in.
I could
It was
hear the
like
door. Yeah.
Before,
There's also
during,
a window.
now after.
Yeah. I got you on lock, buddy.
Yeah. I love that because like every time he gives that little spiel, so before we do the show, we tell the guests what the show is. And whenever he does
what
that,
is the show?
right? And
I still
whenever
don't
he
know.
does that little spiel, every single person goes, "Oh, I'm going to say something." When you come in. No one ever does.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you
I'll
did.
do it again.
I love it because I'm always waiting for it. I'm
He's
always
just
waiting for
sitting
him to
in
say
there.
something.
He's just he's even like turning from me now. He's not even wanting to
That smug
eye
look on his
contact.
face.
Oh, I can see. Okay, I got you now. Yeah, there he is.
You smug son of a bitch.
Which is probably a great time to point out, if you are only listening to this on audio, you can also go on Spotify or YouTube and watch the video and see our faces.
Yeah. Which I was thinking a second ago. So you put the two sides hat down. Well, it actually is like kind of perfect that it's right there on that stack of tapes. And it's kind of now like a permanent ad for Gabrielle.
Yeah,
Like right there.
making her record was a blast.
Yeah. What?
Like-
Tell me about it. What do you remember about it? What was cool?
That was a record. The Two Sides record is just like people that really cared about each other. Like when we did the basics, it was just so fun because it was 4 days to do 10 songs. And so we had it. So we set up at Thomas's place, Thomas Doolin, the planetarium. Great engineer, great producer, great mixer, great guy. And we set up, and we had this luxury of there was no pre-production. We just walked in,
Nice.
and she would just play the song for us. We'd make a chart, and then she would get in the booth and sing and play. And it was Brent Milligan on bass. I was playing drums, and so we got sounds, and it was just kind of like this, like we'd play through, and it's like, I don't like the snare on that. I'm gonna change the snare. And then like, hey, we were playing that, and that felt way too slow. And so we could tweak, and we would start, then Thomas could, in Pro Tools on take one, he could do elastic audio and start to like try to, when you try to break the tempo, and that's too fast, but that's too slow. So we had a great time of like making the songs lived in, which I think is an art form that's a little rare.
What do you mean by lived in?
Because when I first started it, you'd record somebody that would go on tour for 2 years or like, go off and do their own thing and then come back. And they'd maybe written songs at sound checks, and they'd been playing these songs for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And kind of already found that like that bridge tanked. So let's rewrite this bridge. So by the time they got to me, it was like, these songs feel pretty good, and you can just kind of like chip away at the rough edges on them. You'd make the record, then they'd go out and do it all over again. But nowadays, especially like being in Nashville, especially in like the CCM world, where like what I started in here, it was like we wrote this song yesterday, we were ready to track it. And it's like the song may not be very good.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
And in the case of CCM, I mean, it's probably not very
yeah,
good.
it's a Full House episode. You got to wrap it up in 30 minutes. Yeah, DJ's mad at Stephanie, and then and then everyone. Uncle Jesse comes out. They have the heart to heart, and you work it out by the end.
Steven's fallen on his knees again and can't seem to find God in this desert season.
But like with Gabby, I mean, like it's so funny, and I don't know, she might do some more stuff with but there were songs like that didn't make the record that it was really hard to pick the 10 best songs.
How many did you go in with?
I don't remember. I want to say there
Wesley,
was.
could you look that up for him?
Can you look that up? Can you get into my head and remember how many? I want to say there was like 45 or 50.
Stop.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Oh, she said that on the show. She said
Yeah.
something about how she's like,
Because I told her I wanted
made-
25 songs, and then she's like, I can't do that. And then she she's a machine.
Just
Yeah.
churning them out.
Yeah.
I do remember that. She had mentioned like some ungodly amount of songs she had written. I'm like, how have you written that many songs?
Yeah. It was a lot of songs.
Wow.
I think she maybe came to my house like 3 or 4 times, just keeping on, like we just kept narrowing down. And then the problem was she was still writing. So then we'd pick the 10, and then they're like, oh, I wrote this one, and this one's really cool. It's like, okay, well, what are we going to bump?
Right.
And it was really hard. So us being in the studio and doing that those 4 days, it was just kind of like, I mean, the lightning striking of these are great songs
Yeah.
with great people in this room. And it was just super fun. And then we took it back to my place and just got to do crazy stuff. Corey Williams, I don't know if you guys know Corey Williams. He was like,
I know the name.
yeah, Corey Williams. I met Corey Williams a long time ago. He's one of those like jack of all trades, is a master of everything, not like me. But that guy has been my secret weapon on records for usually if people hear cool stuff, I'm like, it's Corey Williams. I was like, he did that. So like, he would come over and we would do stuff, and it was just really great. It was effortless. I found like sometimes records are not effortless. Sometimes you have to put in all this work, but it was one of those ones that like, it was the songs were so great. Like there was remember like it's not called this anymore, like Gear Sluts. Remember that website?
Is it not called that anymore?
No, because I think that I don't remember what it's called.
That name had to be problematic for a long time.
It was very you can't do that now. But
I'm gonna actually, Wesley, find out what Gear Sluts changed its name to. It was Sluts with a Z, by the way.
which is like even
And
worse.
it
It
was
was worse somehow. Yeah.
And it was like it was the online community message board to talk about Gear Space.
Gear Space. Yeah, that's what it's called. But a long
That sounds
time.
like some new hipster bullshit.
Yeah, but it was there was like some forum a long time ago, and it was like, what's the sexiest piece of gear you have in your studio? And all these people are kind of like, oh I have like an original U67, and like all this kind of stuff. And then Greg Wells, famous producer Greg Wells, he chimes in, the sexiest piece of gear I have in my studio is a great song. And it was just
And you're
kind of
like, all right, guy, come on.
Okay,
Guy.
but
You know what the fuck we mean.
but that's how Gabby's record felt. It was just kind of like we would track a song, and it's like, gosh, this is a great song. And then like you'd do song 2, and it's like, gosh, this is a great song. And then you do song 3, gosh, this is a great song. And everything just felt great. But you had, because Thomas is a great producer, Brent Milligan is a phenomenal A-list. He's the reason I moved to town. He offered me a job to assist him. So I worked for that guy for 2 years. It's like great bass player, great everything. But it was just, a lot of passing of the instruments around. And I've got an idea. Let's try this.
Nice.
And we had time. And he'd be like, oh, I got my upright bass in the car. Hang on. And he like runs out and plays. And then it's like just really cool. But we had this just space to, like, there weren't these like pre-production demos or anything. She had a couple songs that were demoed out a little bit, like songwriting demo. And we maybe kind of leaned into it a little bit, but we were able to just make stuff and like just a very in the moment feeling of stuff. Like maybe today I wouldn't play the drums the same on some of the songs
As that day.
Yeah, but like that's just kind of what it was, and it was really good.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. And I usually don't listen to like the stuff I've produced. I usually like once it's done, I put it to bed and I'm done with it. But her record is still one that like it comes on and I don't turn it off. Like I still just really proud of it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And that's Two Sides of Everything by Gabrielle Grace, out now on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora.
Yeah, everything she touches just turns to gold. Like she just came out like that cover. Yeah.
Is it Shania Twain? This one's for the girls, right?
Martina McBride. Yeah. It's great. It's so good. Like, yeah. So I'm like super pumped to see what she's gonna do with stuff.
Yeah,
because I know she's working on some new stuff, and I'm like pretty excited to hear what she does with it.
Yeah. Do you have anything lined up that's that we haven't seen yet that's coming out soon, or anything anybody you're working with right now?
There's a couple things. There's a really great artist. There's some stuff already out. We've just been chipping away. A guy named Jake Smith, and he's got some really great songs, and I think we're going to finish up here pretty soon. But he's another dude. I love working with him. He's my age, and he was signed to like Rocketown back in the day. And he's got this kind of like swampy, soulful, folky thing, which is kind of like in my wheelhouse of stuff to do. But I love that guy because he pushes back so hard on stuff. And he's always fighting for, like, he'll say, like, I'm just fighting for vibe, man. I'm just fighting for vibe. And I love that because some artists you work with, and it's like, you do, and like, that's great. There's no feedback. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, then you work with Jay. He's like, I love it, but what if?
Yeah.
We do. And sometimes the path you go down is not the path it should go down. You kind of come back to other various things,
absolutely.
But by the time it's done, it's like we got it. That was it. That felt really cool. Whether it's tracking the vocals 1,000 different times or hiring a different guitar player, it always comes out really cool. And he's somebody that I just love working with him. But he's like a dear friend. And then, I don't know if I have the record yet. Maybe by the time this airs, I'll have it. There's a guy in Colorado named Ben Jenkins, a singer-songwriter.
Ben Jenkins sounds like
my God,
a storied person.
We're still, he's cool. I'm not going to get in trouble for this. He sent like 11 voice memos the other day. We talked for a while about maybe doing something. And he's like, here's the vibe of like the songs I want to do. And like it was like I was just gonna listen to one, just to hear it, and they're like the best songs I've ever heard. Like it's just hands down. Like one of those weird things. Like I don't know what you want me to do to these songs.
Yeah,
like because like they're good as is. He could release those. He could master his voice memos and release it, and I would listen to it.
Well,
I mean that's how. That guy who just got real famous, what's his name?
Oliver Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Same
right?
place?
Uh-huh.
We're going to go the same place?
That's
never happened before.
Right, because he just recorded something like on his phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, and like threw it on YouTube, and then like 3 days later, he was like the biggest name in the world.
Yeah.
So, like, it was wild.
In the Republican primary debate, he was the first question.
Really?
Was he?
Uh-huh.
I didn't listen, so I didn't watch the...
They were, in Oliver Anthony's new song?
Richmond,
north of Richmond.
Oh, yeah.
He has expressed, and like his sentiments. Why do you think people are gravitating to that message right now? Anyway, so yeah, I did watch I watched the entire Republican primary.
The whole thing?
I did, yeah, because I wanted to see.
Kudos to you.
I wanted to see who else could be president besides Trump or Biden.
Yeah.
Round one. I guess. Will they do a Democratic primary, by the way, or do they just go like, nah, we're sticking with Biden? Do they have a?
I don't know.
I don't know how that
Do
works.
they? Yeah, I don't know. I want to know. Like, I feel like don't the parties just usually like we got somebody in there? It's easier probably to keep an incumbent than to like talk about some new people.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
We're looking to you for answers, Keith Harris.
Oh man.
Yeah. But anyway,
I'm really excited for this election cycle, though. I'm so excited.
dude, it's gonna be.
It's already been bonkers. What else can happen?
I just know it's going to be. We're never going to have 2016 again.
Yeah.
Right? For everything terrible that came out of it, that time, just as a viewer, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Not so hilarious in hindsight. But
I made a post on Facebook one night during the debates with Hillary and Trump.
oh, that shit show.
Yeah, and I got some like from family members and stuff like that. But it was I wrote like this election is like having to pick between two restaurants, knowing you're going to get food poisoning from either of them. Like like fulling well, like I'm going to get food poisoning. But I have to pick one of them.
Did you ever watch South Park?
Like bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
They had a whole. I mean, it was long before. I mean, this has always been the case in politics. Like for our lives, where I forget even what election it was for. It could have been any of them. But their parody of it was that the kids had to have a vote for a new school mascot, and it was either turd sandwich or a giant douche. And the kids got really up in arms about their, well, turd sandwich is just a piece of shit. Like, but giant douche didn't keep his promises. And, it's always a turd sandwich and a giant douche.
Yeah.
I think this one's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It might end in war.
I feel like if there's anything I could press is just term limits. Can I say that?
Oh, yeah.
Term
You can definitely say
limits.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Please, term limits.
for president or for all the other
All
Presidents
of it.
have to.
All of it. Yeah.
Presidents
all
already
of
have
it.
that.
President's got 8, but the other ones seem to they go forever.
Yeah, it's like 175. It's fine.
God, somebody, Zach, my friend Zach posted the Mitch McConnell, like just
Freezing at the podium.
yes,
Yeah.
at the podium, he's talking, and he just stops, and he disappeared, and if it were in a movie, he would be haunted. He was having like a full-on demonic possession in that moment. He was gone far away.
I can't say anything because I also will just stop talking sometimes because I have ADHD, and I'll just be telling. My wife gets so mad at me. I'll just be telling a story, and then my brain is like just done with it, and then I'll just be sitting there, and then I look over, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what? And she's like, you just stopped talking. And I'm like, oh, I guess I did. My brain ran out of time
feel
or
that.
something.
There's
yeah.
other options. You could be a time traveler or something. Like,
yeah. I wish I was. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say my favorite thing online lately in regards to all that was so if you've seen this going around, but Biden was going to give some speech. I don't really know the context, but he accidentally flashed this paper he had in his hand, and it was like step-by-step instructions. It was like, you, all caps, big font. It's like, walk to the podium.
No.
You do this, and it was like step by step how not. And I was like, oh no.
We are like,
Why?
We're 3 degrees away from a pair of sunglasses being at like
Oh, yeah.
a
It's
weekend at
Biden's.
a weekend at Biden's. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Why haven't I heard that before?
Weekend
Yeah.
at Biden. You have.
Weekend
I've
at
said that
Biden's?
on this
No.
show before.
You have?
Yeah.
It was funny when he said it.
fair enough.
We're really close. But so many of them are like that. And it's
I
just,
know.
Yeah.
It's like, I was on like the Bernie train for a while. And then I was like, he's also 175 years old. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's past his time. Like, maybe get someone in here who's like 40.
Yeah, 2016, I was like riding remember Evan McMullen? Oh, like I think he was from Utah.
Oh, yeah, it's vaguely
And he
familiar.
was like, and I was trying to get all my friends like, if he can get enough votes and we can take it to a doomsday election. Like, I was like, I had high hopes for that, and it tanked pretty hard. So
Yeah, I don't know what's happened that like the people who are running for office are the same people who were running for office when we were kids. They haven't changed. Like nothing's
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the
changing.
same group.
Yeah. hmm
Now, slightly tilting it back towards music, I had this conversation with a client yesterday. I don't even know if he wanted to have this conversation. I just wanted to talk for a second. Have you noticed that Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran too, but Taylor Swift's an even better example. These people have been famous for like 15 years. Taylor Swift, since like 2007, she came out.
hmm
How long is that?
15.
13?
16.
Yeah. So for like 16 years since she came out. But she really popped off probably like 13, 14 years ago.
Sure.
She is more famous now than ever. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all agree with that. Taylor Swift
Yeah.
is she's
Yeah.
still
She's still the biggest
in
artist
her
in the world.
motherfucking peak in her early 30s or wherever she is. But also she was 10 years ago. And that didn't used to happen. Like
No.
I was
There was
thinking
like
about
cycles.
it. Right. So think about like in the year 2000, Madonna had a song like in 2000, 2001, Ray of Light. Well, that's like her peak was the 80s, like mid 80s.
Yeah. hmm
So our parents loved Madonna. That was her like peak.
Mine didn't. I can guarantee you that mine did not. Yeah.
Well, parents' age, they're like in love with, that's their time, Madonna. And then she, gracefully faded from the limelight. And in the 90s, no one was paying attention to Madonna anymore. And then like she had this comeback 10 years after she was, I'm sure she was doing stuff. She was probably making so much money doing stuff. But all of us kids, we didn't care about Madonna.
No.
Yeah.
And then she put out a song in 2000 and had a comeback. And she did like an acting thing. And
Did she do the Super Bowl?
Sure she did.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
didn't
remember
she do the
that.
Super Bowl? Because they had the weird guy dancing on the rope that Andy Samberg like messed with on SNL. Like,
I don't even-
yay, art! And it was like the fake legs, and he was just like riding a rope. Yeah, that was my.
I don't
That was
remember
my
that, but she did have the controversy where her and Britney Spears kissed,
Yes.
and that was like, was that the Super Bowl?
No, that was
an
the
award show or
MTV
something?
awards or
Yeah.
something.
Okay, Wesley's pulled it up.
Yeah,
Play the
2012.
video. Well, anyway, my point is that like that same time span from Madonna as Taylor Swift's career, Madonna, she's the biggest thing in the world, and she sort of fades away, and now there's grunge music, and then there's like alternative rock, and then it gets kind of poppy, and there's pop punk, and then Madonna comes back and is like, hi, and we're all like, you're an old lady who, but
Yeah.
thanks for making a song, and our parents like you. Oh, this is the Super Bowl
Like, look at her.
performance.
She's struggling. Like,
I mean, this was
she's having a
11
good
years
time.
ago.
Meanwhile, Taylor Swift has just stayed famous for so long. And my point is, isn't that weird? Isn't that
It's not weird. Let me tell you why.
why?
Because that is the way our world works now. We hit a point. I don't know when this point happened. And my guess is right around the early 2010s, maybe a little earlier than that. That whoever was in power realized they never had to leave in everything, not just in politics, but same thing in business. Like, how hard is it for a startup to become a massive company now? It's so much harder than it used to be because the internet, they can just widespread everything so easily, and you
Because
never
Google
have
can
to
acquire
give-
anything.
Right, and everything is acquired by the same big thing. So no one ever leaves power or fame or popularity unless something terrible happens. And there's no room for the new smaller people to come up into it.
That
And everything.
okay,
not
that
just-
tracks. But
yeah.
why did it happen in 2010? Why not always? But nobody in power would ever want to give it
Well,
up.
let me ask you: when did social media become
yeah,
a
I was just
problem?
gonna say, when did Facebook?
Facebook came out in
get-
2004,
Mm-hmm.
but that was still like the tales of MySpace. It was just
You had
for
to get like an
kids.
invite, didn't
Right, you had to have
Yeah.
a college email address to sign up for Facebook
Yeah.
originally, and then it grew and grew, and and then it was Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, and all these things started coming out until it took over the world, and that I think is around that same time when social media became king. The people in power could be like, oh, we can control everybody directly,
Yeah,
Okay, so
There you
your
go.
theory,
but also didn't Spotify come out in like 2010?
I don't know. I got it in 2012. If I
Yeah.
had to guess, I would say 2011. Wesley, why isn't this already on the screen?
that was pretty quick.
Oh, holy,
Hey,
what?
2008.
Was it? Yeah,
2008.
Wow.
Huh.
music at your fingertips.
Music
Right?
at your
Before that, we
fingertips.
had Pandora,
Yeah.
which was music like kind of at your fingertips.
But then, yeah,
But you
but
didn't
then
really have
you only
the-
had like so many skips per hour or
Right.
something like that. Like, yeah.
Because if you could skip too much, why would you buy the album?
But you could
On
listen
CD.
to the same Taylor Swift song over and over and over again if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the world may never know. I would like to play a Gabrielle Grace song
Okay.
to end this section. We'll take a quick break
Okay.
and then we'll come back.
Would you believe it? Already out of time. It's taking way too long. It's always on my mind. I couldn't see it. It was right in front of my eyes. I've taken way too long. I'm running out of time. If there was an option, would I let you in? Why'd it have to end before it could begin? If there was a moment, would you admit? I wish that I could tell you. I wish that I could run into your arms, but no one ever tells you. Everything's enough till it gets hard. If there's a reason, it could be for the best. Clearly, I don't know if things had been different. I wish that I could tell you. I wish that I could run into your arms, but no one ever tells you. Everything's enough till it gets hard. I wish that I could tell you. I wish that I could run into your arms, but no one ever tells you. Everything's enough till it gets hard.
So you were saying in 2020, you would kind of come to this breaking point.
I got really burned out. Yeah. In like near the end of the year, I even think I told my wife that I didn't want to do this anymore. I was like, I really don't. I don't know, like, because it's this weird thing of like you grow up and this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And then when you start doing it, like, you don't have a life a
Right.
lot of times, so then like the thing that was your hobby is now your job,
Right.
but you don't have this hobby for creative release anymore. You're
Yeah.
just grinding, like, because this town will kind of like grind you into, it'll grind your bones into dust
Yeah.
a little bit.
We're literally doing one of my hobbies right now. This is my hobby.
Yeah. And I'm doing your hobby and feeling so awkward because no one needs to know what I have to. No one cares what I have to say.
Hey, we need to hear what you have to say.
So, with being so busy and that hobby turning into a career,
Yeah.
have you picked up other hobbies at all?
I gardening a little bit.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
a hobby.
I
Yeah.
love to work outside. Just this past weekend, I rented a big tiller and tilled up our back because it's a new backyard. Like, and it was just weeds back there. My daughter and I, we tilled it up, planted grass seed. It was super cool. It took about 2 days.
We built a fence in his backyard.
We did. Well, kind
Sorry,
of,
we
kind
built a
of.
gate. We haven't gotten to the fence part yet. There's currently a gate that goes to nowhere.
And for the record, we didn't build anything. I bought a vinyl fence kit and installed it.
We used a preset
Hey, those
kit.
things are kind of hard, though.
It took
Yeah,
three
it took
times.
so long.
This guy's taking a picture of me right now, and I don't really appreciate it.
We built a preset kit with clear instructions.
Not clear. Not clear.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I wish everything came in like my dad's a carpenter, and so like growing up he just like, and so I'm trying to do this and I'm like, the fruit fell far from the tree. Yeah, like I thought maybe just by growing up in that house that I would have like gotten some of the carpentry skills.
osmosis.
Nope. I can do some stuff, but not very much.
Yeah, I thought we would be fine. I thought my original plan was just do it myself, and he was like, "I can come over and help," and I was like, "Great, that'd be awesome." But it just every single thing that could go wrong went wrong,
and it takes way longer.
Yeah, it says 60 minutes on the box, right?
And then it's like a 4-week project. Yeah,
yeah, and all we got up was the gate. In 4
multiple
hours.
trips to the hardware store to get stuff.
Yeah, well, we had to like drive these posts in the ground.
Yeah,
and
it's Tennessee, so the ground is hard as all get out.
We hit I thought it seemed soft at first, and then you get just a certain depth, and we hit something. And I was
Probably
like,
a rock, but maybe a
or
pipe.
a rock, or it could be.
I
like
did the call before you dig. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah, we did.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah, they came out marked. Yeah.
Well, it was just like driving a
Super
post.
easy.
It's like that.
I didn't even call. You just go online and it's not call before you dig. I think it's like TN 411 or 811 or something like that.
Yeah,
You just type in your address and they come out and just do it.
Yeah, like my hands are still sore. Did your hands hurt the next day?
No.
I think from like when we hit that like rock or whatever, we were just like drive it through.
Yeah.
Like what are we gonna do? Like this is the spot it has to be.
Yeah.
And like I think the vibrations, like swinging this 8-pound sledgehammer over and over.
The next day after doing that tiller, I thought someone I probably went to bed that night and someone came in and beat me with a baseball bat. That's how I felt the next morning because that whole thing was just like
rattling your bones.
and then you hit a rock and then it'd like fly up and it was heavy.
But it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I love that. It's like cutting my grass. I love that. Like doing like stuff around the house. It's like it has a definitive stop.
Yeah.
And start time like
it has like nothing to do with artistry.
Yeah, because
or like very little.
Yeah, because in our world, like there usually when you pack it in for the day, it's not done.
Yeah.
And then you leave and this thing's like still, and my studio's in my house. So it's always right there. And my ADHD brain just like kicks in and it's like, I gotta go work on that. So
I've got the opposite of that going. Like to me, all that, because I bought a house recently. Our first house, and so like I was stoked to do all these things, and I'm doing all the things that you're supposed to do for the most part. I haven't cut my grass yet, but we don't own a mower yet, so that's
I
tough.
didn't either.
But to me, like doing all these random house things that I have to do now just to like get this house livable. It feels like filler content to me. It's like when you're watching a TV show and there's like the one-off episode that you're like, that didn't need to be here. This just I'm just throwing time down away.
The next year of your life is a montage.
Yeah, it's just me fixing this house for the next year and being broke the whole time.
It could be
buy more things for the house.
It could be shown in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
right.
It's what it feels like. It's filler content. I hate doing it. Any of it. Hang a picture, kill me. Just
I hung 2
fucking
pictures
kill me.
today.
Bro, worst day of my life. I gotta hang 2 pictures.
Super easy. Yeah.
I gotta like level it.
All right, but you had a carpenter dad.
I did have a carpenter dad, yeah. And it was literally one screw, and then you hung it up. Yeah.
I've been around
Ask Drew what his dad did. Ask him what his dad did.
Yeah, my dad sold drugs. So
both valuable, necessary things. Yes.
I gained none of that either.
Like this guy builds the house, this guy sells meth out of that house.
Did you ever? It was meth.
It was.
Did you ever know about
It's the white people drug to sell.
that thing? It was like called A Day Without a Mexican, and it was it was to show how important Mexican and undocumented workers are to the economy, and it was to like, hey, Mexicans aren't going to do anything this day, and then everyone's going to see, like, look, all the things they were doing. Okay, so, like, what if we did a day without a drug dealer would we find that actually there's a valuable
Like
piece
they're
of
driving
community?
the world.
Like,
I have no idea.
I think it would just
Yeah.
be better. But maybe is it possible that illegal drugs?
Now
are
you're talking
like
about just illegal drug dealers?
Yeah.
Because the legal drug dealers, like, we need those.
pharmacists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctors.
Like, please, sir, don't call me illegal drug dealer. I'm a pharmacist. Yeah, I didn't go to pharmacy school.
Hey, you went to school to be a drug dealer.
a legal
That's
drug
literally
dealer.
what you did. You learned about how to weigh the drugs,
Yeah.
make sure to only give the exact right amount, never more,
Yeah.
never less.
I'm just saying, we probably all grew up with the assumption that if you could just eradicate illegal drugs and drug dealers and the drug trade, that the world would be a better place. And the problem is that you can't, or all efforts to try cause additional worse problems. But what if we found out that, like, if you got rid of all illegal drugs and drug dealers, actually the world's a worse place for some reason?
I don't know. I feel like you're stretching it with your,
Oh, I am.
your hypothetical
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, because I had a friend that had like really bad epilepsy, and he would get kind of under the table edibles and stuff, and it would.
Back when it was illegal in Missouri?
No, this was here. This
Oh,
was in
okay.
Tennessee, and
Or
I
it's
mean,
still
it,
illegal.
and it really helped him. Like, and he'd been on like meds and crazy stuff for years, and like if a med would work, it had like horrible side effects.
Sure.
And so this was like the only thing that he could do that was like did not have crazy side effects and also calmed down the epilepsy
Yeah.
and made him feel normal.
I mean, a lot of people experience that
So-
with weed, like a lot of like cancer patients and things.
Yeah,
They'll get it
yeah,
illegally.
that's-
In like Tennessee, where you can't get it legally,
Mm-hmm.
except for you get that Delta 8 stuff, which is
Yeah.
just garbage. But I don't know. I mean, then there's the flip side of the argument, which is why don't we just make everything legal? Which I don't think is also not the answer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People are going to do drugs, no matter what. They always have. And
Yeah.
they always will.
I drink
continue to
way
do
too
so.
much caffeine.
Yeah, it's a drug. Yeah.
Yep.
I drink
Drug
caffeine
addict.
in the morning. I use nicotine all day. Yeah, drink alcohol at night. All these things are drugs. I'm on drugs from the time I wake up till the time I go to sleep. Every
Yeah.
day, and most of us are. Our whole lives.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Anyways, drugs are cool.
Yeah, well, drugs. Yeah.
Drugs are
Anyway.
cool. I don't know.
drugs.
Yeah.
We've got the spirit.
And that was our segment on drugs. Okay, before the show started, you mentioned Bigfoot. Well, you mentioned
I
Jury
mentioned
mentioned
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot,
I did, yeah.
as a topic,
As
and
I
you
often
said, and I quote, "I believe in Bigfoot."
I believe in Bigfoot.
Let's talk about that.
We can. It's. I mean,
Public,
it's,
very publicly for
it's-
everyone to know.
I mean, most of my close friends know. It's not like I've not done like research on this. I just believe that at some point in time there was a Bigfoot. Are there Bigfoots roaming like all over? I don't know. Maybe, but I believe at some point there was probably some weird animal that was like
Yeah.
an anomaly, and someone saw it, and then just.
See, I don't
spread
think it's an
rumors.
anomaly. It was a whole species called Gigantopithecus.
Okay.
Can you bring this? Can you bring this up,
Yeah,
Wesley?
we
Bring
need
me
to
up. I need a
see
Gigantopithecus
Gigantopithecus.
skeleton and what we think they looked like. And you're gonna be like, oh, that's clearly Bigfoot. Wait, Mesopithecus or Gigantopithecus? It's one of the two.
I bet he's in there like, how do we spell?
Gigantopithecus. Gotta Google that first.
But they were
There's a
essentially,
silent seven in
a primate. It's a type of primate that was real big, and we know they were real.
Come on, man, get this thing up. Good Lord. Thank
We've
you.
never had a
Ugh.
Wesley heckler before.
Yeah, so if you see like the
If he's there, I'm gonna use it.
the recreated one on the left there, like that's on the most left picture. That's clearly Bigfoot. Like that's exactly what everybody says
It
it looks
is.
like.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit. Let's see more of these gigantor.
See, that just looks like a baboon. That just looks
The monkey in the Jungle Book was, I think, supposed to be a Gigantopithecus. At least,
Shere
at least
Khan?
in
King,
the
King Louis.
King Louis.
Yeah.
At least he said he was a Gigantopithecus in the live-action movie. I don't know if that was originally intended in the original story or not.
No, original Disney wasn't thinking about anything to do with reality.
Yeah. They're like, how much money can we make off of this?
Yeah. So you think Bigfoot was Gigantopithecus.
Yeah, and who's to say there's not
a
some still
prehistoric ape.
roaming around out in the woods?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably not.
There's a bunch of weird stuff in the world.
Yeah,
Why can't there be one Bigfoot?
just one leftover Gigantopithecus family
one.
just hanging on.
I mean, we named a truck after him. There's a monster truck called Bigfoot. It's got to
Is
be
it?
real.
Monster trucks.
There's
I haven't
gotta-
thought of those since the early 2000s.
No,
Monster trucks.
Monsters
No.
are pretty big still.
Gravedigger.
Yeah, that's the
Grave
one.
digger. Did anyone ever watch The Whitest Kids You Know?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course I did.
Remember the one with the two drivers were at a party, Gravedigger and Bigfoot?
No,
And
I
they're
don't
like,
think
this
I
is
saw
my
this one.
boyfriend. He drives Bigfoot. And they're like, I see you over there. And they like went to talk. And every time they'd walk across the room, they'd smash everything in the way. And they were just trying to outdo each other on like what they could smash in the room. It was the greatest sketch of all times.
Did not see that.
Yeah, I'm surprised. There's
Yeah,
a Whitest
surprisingly,
Kids
because
You Know
we
sketch.
dove deep into Whitest Kids You Know.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch? Did you see the one with Tar Toast?
No.
No, it's like, I think it's just a play on on words from like whatever tartar. They kind of
Yeah.
And so he literally serves tar, and he's like, "This is tar toast," and the guy eats it, and he's like, "Oh, what is that?" He's like, "I told you, it's tar toast." And he's just like, "What the fuck? Like, why would you serve that to me?" And
Yeah.
he's like, excuse me, I told you what it was, and you grabbed it from me. He's like, you served it to me. You just took it from my plate. I did not serve it. You asked me what it was, and then took. That show was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's a new show that's supposed to be kind of like it that I watched half of one episode, and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. But it's Canadian. It's on Netflix.
the Canadians have a
called,
certain twisted humor.
Shit, what's it called? Wesley, what's that called? You probably know, I assume. It's called I Think You Should Leave.
Oh, I love that show.
I watched like half of an episode because somebody told me like, oh, this is like just like Whitest Kids You Know kind of sketch, that kind of similar
I wouldn't say
comedy.
it's like that. Yeah, the Whitest Kids You Know, like my favorite comedy is like where there's a joke and it's not that funny, but I'm gonna drive it into the ground
Yeah.
and just keep on with this joke until it kind of becomes funny.
Yeah.
And that's I Think You Should Leave.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the funny after the fact. Yeah. Oh, what
the
did I
jokes,
watch recently
the
that was
joke
like
is
that?
not the funny thing. Ruining the joke is the funny thing.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know, I weirdly found that to be the case to an extent with the movie Zoolander. So Zoolander it's a funny movie,
Yeah.
but it's my wife. I found out my wife had never seen it, and I was like, "How is that even possible?" So we watched Zoolander, and she was like, "Oh, that was all right." But then, like 3 days later, she's making references, orange mocha frappuccino.
Yeah,
and,
it was an
like,
innocent gasoline fight. Yeah.
yeah, like those references will stay with you for months,
Yeah.
and years, and the movie itself is a good movie. I like it.
Well,
But yeah.
Anchorman was like that.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw Anchorman the first time, I was kind of like, meh. But then people got into it, people started quoting it, and then we'd watch it more times. And then it's just all about calling out your favorite quotes from that movie.
Yeah.
And pretty soon it's the greatest comedy movie that's ever existed. But initially I'm just like,
It was fine.
Why
Yeah.
am I watching a movie about a news anchor?
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah.
Always ready with a button.
But it's so funny. I'll bring it back to music.
Wow.
Okay, wow. Thanks.
The slow burn of something,
Mm-hmm.
of the initial thing, like that's the music I'm interested in making. Stuff that will like, you probably still make Zoolander quotes, Anchorman quotes periodically, like you
Yeah.
still remember that stuff as being funny. I want to make records that in like 10 years, you're like, I still like that.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of music nowadays, and some of it's cool, but like some of it's become very gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, there's a lot of things happening that's like, so like I don't want to hear a song and then be like, wow, that production was really cool. I want to hear a song like that was a great song.
Mm-hmm.
And so, something that like maybe you listen to it and then 3 days later you're like, man, that guitar was cool. Like something that like kind of slow burned on
Yeah.
you.
I had
And
that
even
happen. Sorry, go ahead.
it's like even I think in like the career path of an artist that you see like artists get so frustrated if they like put one song out and it doesn't land, it doesn't do anything, because it's like everything has to be the long game. You got to play the long game, or else you won't survive. You just have to keep on doing stuff and not just like get stuck on like, well, I did the one thing and I guess no one likes it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to pack it in. It's like, no, you still have something valuable to say. It just might take a while. And if you make something that can slow burn, that's what I'm really interested in. Not anything like gimmicky. So
Yeah. What registers to you as gimmicky?
I don't know. I think probably like things that distract. Like I think there's a lot of it's I guess I would liken it to like when you see like a young videographer, like, because we're in this town of like friends are making music videos for friends. And when everything is just a cut, camera, and it's like you watch a music video, everything's on the beat, this, and it's like every bar, it's changing. Things are just changing. But you watch like a seasoned, videographer, and it's slow. And it's like, great wide angle, pans out. And you watch a movie and it's like, sometimes it's fast cuts in a certain scene. But it's not
relying on
that. It takes time to like build the story. So I think sometimes I hear music where like, and sometimes it's really cool. But then sometimes it's just like, there's just stuff moving like way too fast. But the song doesn't move. Hey man, you're still in here. I was just in the middle of a story, kind of getting deep with it. This guy.
I'm a big fan of things that are a slow burn in that you don't like it at first. I like things you don't like that then you grow to like and then love.
Like meth?
I'm pretty sure you like that just right away. Like first time, you've got to just be like, whoo, that shit was awesome. And that's why you keep doing it until you die.
I guess so, yeah.
But no, like that happened with me with the band, Coheed and Cambria.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard they had a song on Rock Band, Welcome Home, which is a big song of theirs. And I did not like it. I couldn't stand it. I was like, this guy's annoying. But a good friend of mine was super into him. So we'd always play this stupid song. And after like, I don't know, like the 10th time of like 15th time, of going through that song, I was like, it stuck with me. And like now they're one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
But I had to like go through that like, I don't like it. To like get there, to like get that attachment to it. But I feel like it makes me like it more. And it makes me want to convince other people to like it more.
Yeah.
Because they'll hear it and be like, his voice is annoying. I was like, you just don't get it yet.
Yeah.
Give it a minute.
And then you have the whole added pressure of like being in this town. And like, you're playing your music to like other singer-songwriters that like, I secretly hate you.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I wrote that song. Or like this whole like, well, I could do that better. So yeah, it's like I tell people all the time, it's like you probably just haven't found like your fan base yet. Like the people that are going to care about it. All the singer-songwriters are probably not going to care about you, because if you get ahead, that means that they're getting left behind. Instead of like,
right.
There needs to be room for everybody. Because we were talking earlier, it's like, I'm becoming pickier with like the projects I take because I'm getting older and I have a family and I just don't want to take everything.
Yeah.
And I love to like point artists to like, this person would crush your stuff, like, because you're more pop and they would kill it. And I don't feel the need anymore to like, I have to produce everything and everyone in this town.
Yeah.
I just don't feel that anymore. And even like if an artist I work with wants to go work with somebody else, that like, I don't care. I can't wait to hear what you do with that person. That's kind of how I feel nowadays. Because it's all a long game. Like, you got to like not be right now. But, there's room for everybody. There should be enough at the table
Yeah.
for people to eat.
Yeah. When more people come, they expand the pie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very hard to feel that way.
Right. But that's
Yeah.
the case
It
more
just
now.
It
Probably
takes
because
a lot of
there
maturity.
are a lot of people in this town that should probably go back home. I need a button for that one.
But no, just guess.
We've got the spirit.
What the hell is even that?
That was a better one. Yeah. Or how about this? There's a lot of people in this town that should go back home.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Do you mean they suck at music?
No, maybe. But also
just, like,
so
taking
do
up
I.
space.
You
Yeah.
know, I suck at music. You know, we all suck at music a little bit. But yeah, I think
They suck at being people.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. It's just kind of like this is it's a big small town here. You know, and there is community. So if you kind of mess up something, usually people are going to know about it pretty quick. So I've seen a lot of people move to this town, and then in 2 months they're like, "How come no one knows that I'm awesome?" And it's because you haven't got to grind it out. You know, it takes 5 years to get at anything in this town.
Yeah.
But this whole I've been here for 2 months. How come no one I'm a great songwriter? It's yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but
But
even if you
it's
are,
just- you gotta-
throw a stick,
yeah.
you'll hit another one.
Yeah, you gotta work it. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I think yeah.
And I think social media is particularly TikTok even more. It's become the crack cocaine of social media.
Oh, social media is just the worst. Yeah.
It's made it so that all the good advice of how to be a long-term sustainable artist totally goes out the window. I mean, it doesn't, but also if you did some gimmicky short-term shit and you did a 45-second song that wasn't that good and you didn't try that hard on it, you didn't have the best people on it, but for whatever reason, the algorithm decided to show it to a lot of people, and enough people engaged with it for just long enough to reinforce that confirmation bias of algorithm. Actually, all the the best advice you can throw it all away because you can become randomly famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is there's
They make so
always
much money.
there's always been people who become randomly famous. That's always
Yeah.
been a thing. The difference is now they stay. Now they continue being famous. It used to be someone got real famous and they weren't great. You wouldn't hear about them again.
We moved on.
They had a moment and
Yeah.
you move on. The moment just never stops. Now you literally can be a garbage human making garbage content and be
Yeah.
massively famous forever and just have that constantly
Yeah.
reinforced.
And I wish that would happen to me.
Right.
Because I'm a garbage human being. I wish but I
just
don't have
wanna-
TikTok.
I wanna be
Someone would
rich
have to
for
show
it.
me how to do TikTok
Yeah.
for me
I'm
to
very
do that.
proud of myself that I've never been on TikTok. I
Yeah, neither
hold that
have
as
I.
a point of pride. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, my points of pride are I've never been on TikTok and I've never seen any of the Twilight movies. So
Nice.
That's all
We're right
you've-
there. We're right there. Yeah.
and
cool
that's all
guys
you've
over
got.
here.
that's all I've got. Yeah. What about your wife and kids? Nah.
No.
Nah, 2 points of pride.
They've seen Twilight. All right. That's,
Yeah,
but I,
I jumped on TikTok
of course, you did.
not super early, but before 2020 for sure. And I put out a few videos on it, and they did well as compared to Instagram, but not well in the grand scheme of TikTok. But what I've kind of picked, the vibe I've gotten is that what TikTok did and what I think a lot of social medias have done is in order to attract quick success and for their platform, they have enabled certain people to become very famous very quickly. And so TikTok, everybody got so excited about it because people became ubiquitous instantly. And so everybody wants that. So it's a gold rush of everyone has to go here because everything could go to the next level, but they can't, that's not sustainable. So they did that for a little while, but as time goes on, they can't keep doing that. And so it becomes harder and harder and harder. But now you're already on the platform doing stuff and they're getting what they want.
Yep.
And I'm sure another social media will come along down the road and do the same thing.
Because sometimes the gold rush turns into a flash in the pan.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
Hit a button.
That
I'll
feels
do it. It's okay. I like that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'll take it.
But TikTok also just hit like their style of content, the short, like under a minute, or now it's 2. I don't even know because I don't follow it that closely. But
They expanded it, but
like
it was
that
under a minute, and
hits
it's gone up to 10.
in such a purposeful way at like our current culture that it probably, I don't think it would have been that successful 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But it hit the perfect time, and everyone talks about like the TikTok algorithm is like incredible.
Yeah.
But YouTube added shorts like within the last year. That is essentially the same exact thing. And I've tried my hardest to avoid. I don't click on shorts. It's my rule. I don't click on shorts because I know as soon as I click on shorts, they're just going to keep feeding me shorts. And I don't want that shit. That's not why I come to YouTube. But I got sucked in and I was like, oh no, I get it. I get why everybody's on TikTok all day. Like, I can't
what
stop
if it was
clicking
a
the next
short
one.
on Dollar General?
I'd be all in. Woo!
Oh, feed me those shorts now. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I ended up like clicking on something, and then I was like, oh, okay. Hit the
Yeah.
arrow, go to the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's been several hours, and I was like, oh, I see why this is breaking the world.
Yeah, but the algorithm, right? Like that's the that's the Achilles heel that like sometimes it does work for people,
Yeah.
but it's because like a lot of like young artists that I work with that are kind of like finding their way now. It's become this weird thing of like they're trying to do like, even though that's not me, I got to do this thing now.
Right.
And then they lose the whole, like, there was something super unique about what you were bringing to the table that maybe needed to be a slow burn, but you're trying to do this now. And I get it. Like, I want to make money. I want to have recognition. I want to have these things. But if you think of like, being in like in 20 years, is that where you want to be? I look at some of this is probably going to be, just wait for the calls to come in, guys. Someone like Megan.
The phone banks are lighting up.
Like, and I don't, this is probably negative. Like someone like Megan Trainor, does she want to be singing all about that bass when she's 60?
I mean, if they're still cutting her big checks to do it.
I guess so. Yeah. Like, like I wouldn't want to, there's like, she's got that one new song about like, I'm your mother or whatever. I don't remember.
I haven't heard it.
But yeah, like, what do you want to be doing long term?
Well, I think for a lot of people, the answer for that is whatever I want. And to do whatever I want, I need a bunch of money. And so like these people, they make a bunch of money and they just keep doing it because it just enables them to do anything else they want. And so it doesn't really matter what the thing is that they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. It's so weird because
I
you
also
get
would
it.
like a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's like I get
delightful.
it. Yeah, but that whole train of like the algorithm, like I get it, but I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's like, for a lot of people, it's been drying up.
Mm-hmm.
It has to stay profitable for enough people that it keeps its allure and sustains.
Right.
But,
Well, it's just like
it's out of alignment. Sorry.
you heard. I don't know. This was several months ago. I saw an article about OnlyFans, right? Because OnlyFans came out, and all these people went on OnlyFans, started selling naked pictures of themselves and making ridiculous amounts of money.
Like, I can only show, maybe I just only show my feet.
That's how it starts. And so I read this article about it that was saying like, well, 99.9% of that platform now are making less than $20 a month.
No.
And in the beginning it wasn't like that, but now
was it because
it's
of like oversaturation?
yeah, oversaturation, and then nobody
And
cares
you
about
give
your
yourself
OnlyFans.
away, and you give.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
if that
how
was the
bad do
exact
you wanna go
number.
to
It might have been
Vegas?
$50 or
Oh, to
something.
see the sphere?
Yeah.
Wesley right now is so stoked. Look at his head.
Are you
It's
guys
bobbing up
going?
and down. No, he just wants. He's been showing me sphere videos of you too.
I want to go so bad.
Yeah, we went last year for the When We Were Young festival,
Mm-hmm.
and actually Wesley and I, and we saw the sphere in development. Like
Yeah.
it looked like a sphere. It had not been LED lit up yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, have you seen these videos?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over the internet.
Yeah, they look great. How long is you two there? Can we go? Can we still get? Surely every single ticket's sold out, right? Forever.
Probably. Yeah.
Surely,
Yeah.
unless like a long-standing thing where they're going to be there a long ass time, and then you can buy tickets
Even
for like
still,
6 months from now.
I try to get tickets to Adele. Like she's doing the Vegas resident. Like, could not get tickets.
Really?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, one time my mom got us tickets to see Gwen Stefani's Vegas residency like night before. So,
But she'd been there a while, right? By that point,
I don't know.
I don't know.
If someone put Gwen I would be like, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that being said, Ryan and I went to a Britney Spears concert some
We sure
years
did.
ago, and
The
that was one of the
circus
best
tour.
concerts I've
I
ever
would
been
go
to.
for the shock value of it all.
The
Yeah.
circus tour, yeah.
Mhm.
Did you know if you fill up a water bottle with vodka, you
You
can
can just
get-
bring it
You
in.
can just bring it in.
We were like 22 at the time or
Did
something.
you know if you split a water bottle of vodka, Britney Spears is a pretty fun time?
Yeah, it was a great show from what I remember. We got pretty hammered then.
It's like, so how was the show? And you're like, what show? What show did we go to? I know I did something last night. I don't remember Britney Spears being a part of it.
Though I have been watching a little bit of her her new online presence. And that's,
yeah.
As an escapee.
I don't know, but there's just a video of her dancing while holding two like kitchen knives.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know the whole story or anything. I know there's like the free Britney, and then the other side's like, no, she needs this. And I don't even know all the details or anything. I just know I saw this lady who was so famous when I was a kid, like dancing with knives in her living room, being like, what happened?
There's a theory that she's
Ooh.
AI and she is still trapped by her family, says Wesley.
Oh.
I love that theory.
The text
But
not
that's
there
an
yet.
that's an okay, social media, that's another plague that like we think we have the whole story figured out. Right?
Yeah, that's true. We do.
But we don't.
It's only been around
But we
less
saw
than
the
20
social
years.
dilemma during the pandemic. What, you gonna tell me that wasn't the full story?
Like yeah, like but every once in a while I'll find myself just like enthralled by the Nick Jonas or Joe Jonas who was the one getting a divorce
Didn't.
with
follow,
Sophie Turner. Who's that guy? But like I was here for it. I
I
wanted
hope
to
it's
see like
Joe.
I think it's Joe. It's
Yeah,
not,
I
it's not Nick. Nick's like he's the good one, right?
I don't know.
As
I
well.
met Joe once at the Magic Castle in LA, and I was just dating my now wife, and my wife was like, "Oh my god, that's Jeff Jonas," and she was like, "I'm gonna go say hi," and I was like, "All right," and so she went up, she wasn't 100% sure, and she goes up and she's like, "Can I ask you a question?" And he was like, "All right." She's like, "What's your last name?" And he was like, "Jonas," and she was like, "Can I give you a hug?" And he was like, all right. So she gave him a hug, and I go, hey, bro, that's my girlfriend. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. He like stepped off.
Sounds like a good guy.
Yeah, he was actually really funny and clever. But whenever he comes up, I'm
Yeah.
like, that son of a bitch hugged my girlfriend.
Yeah. Like I want to be removed from stuff, but then every once in a while, like some sort of trash will just like suck me right in. I'm like, oh yeah, I need that.
It's because we want it. We want it.
Yeah.
You know, we don't like to admit that we want it, but we do.
Somebody did something wrong, and I'm gonna
And
get
I'm
to the
gonna
bottom
see
of it.
it. It's just like, I mean, you ever watch like fail videos? You know what I mean?
I don't understand someone tell me why are fail videos a thing?
Oh, you don't. You're not. You don't.
I'm not into fail
you have-
videos at
oh.
all.
Really?
Watch-
Have
Like,
you
and
tried?
I know, yeah, I just can't get
Yeah.
into it. But like I've traveled a little bit the last few months, and it's like hotels and Airbnb because they all have like smart TVs, and it's like, oh, I'll watch something. And the searches that have happened before me, because like it's usually are fail videos. Like, what is the draw of like the day's done?
Let's watch a bunch of people
Let's
crash
watch a bunch of people
cars.
crash like man, wrecks forklift and like ruins a whole warehouse.
Did
or
you
stuff.
like America's Funniest Home Videos back in the day?
That's
No,
essentially what
no.
it is. It's the
No.
evolution of that.
Like, I mean, we watched it, but I never really enjoyed it.
You don't like love a guy falling on his balls on
Yeah.
something?
I can watch someone falling down all day. and I don't know
really.
why.
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
Though
No.
if it gets to a certain point, I can't. Like if I'm like, oh, they're like that
the-
guy's died. Like I
yeah,
can't,
like
I don't
that,
want to
like
watch
high
that.
speed car crashes and stuff. Like, nah. I
Or
just
like you
can't.
see someone like snap, like bend their elbow back. I don't want that.
Yeah,
I don't want to
can't
watch
do
that,
that.
shit. Like I'm not
Yeah.
about it. But it's just like someone like, like slipping and falling in their backyard. I'm like, that
Yeah.
fucking guy.
I've not once sought out a fail video to watch on my own. Not even once.
I don't know if I've ever
But yeah.
searched it, but they get sent to me.
But
you know?
if Wesley put it on right now, I'd watch him. Like, oh, oh,
Yeah.
just like that.
I usually just I get too. It's like too cringe. I can't do it.
Now I have tried they have cringe compilations that are people just doing cringy things. I can't. It hurts. It hurts too
much cringe?
Yeah, I can't actually handle it.
Yeah.
Like a
Like
show.
gender reveal parties and stuff like that.
Bro. Though, did you see the one where the plane crashed?
Yeah.
That was wild.
What?
That was awful.
It was a gender reveal party where they flew like a crop
Yeah.
duster plane. It's like a Cessna or something,
Does the thing.
and drops
Then as soon as they're over, whole fam, they're all cheering. But right there, the plane snaps and
in half.
Like the pilot died.
Yeah.
The plane.
You haven't seen this? It's gone
no.
hella viral.
Yeah.
What was the Cessna, blue or pink?
I don't remember.
So I was going for like a really off-color joke. Anyway, sorry, it wasn't real.
He did release the smoke or whatever it was.
Yeah.
but,
Oh, it was like a
As
colored
soon as
smoke.
Yeah.
as soon as he came over, then it
the plane snaps in the air. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
Wow.
I mean, he's really low, like right above the trees.
Oh, here we go.
Is Wesley bringing it up? Yeah, it's like a few seconds clip.
Ooh, see if we can cringe.
Yep.
Damn. And he's flying, and he goes over. Pink smoke. It's a girl.
And then,
Whoa! He just flipped.
I don't even know how, what caused it. Like, how does
Oh,
the
wow.
wing
And,
just...
and then they're all
They're just so
like,
they don't even
yeah.
see. They're just confetti on the couple.
Yeah.
They're
How
How
celebrating.
could you not see that?
Yeah,
It was right
good
above
question.
you.
Did that? I mean,
You had to have heard it.
One of them did either of them even know a plane was going to fly over? Because it could have been family, right? It could have.
I don't know.
Or
it
was
feels
it-
pretty planned out to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no! I mean, surely
Yeah.
it's planned, but did the couple know a plane will come with the?
They had to.
Are they not knowing? Or they're revealing it to their friends?
Look,
Yeah.
they've contracted the plane.
I have
Probably.
no problem with a gender reveal party. Just don't do destructive things. Like, why do you need to launch fireworks and have planes fly over? Just be like, "There's a boy!" And everyone will be
Yeah.
like, "Woo!" And that's
Yeah.
fine.
But then at the same time, I wouldn't mind fireworks just for entering the room. Just like, hey, he's here. They're like, they're like, yeah, I am here.
Should do that in the operating room when they pull out the baby.
Just
Yeah.
right in
There.
the room.
That should be the party. That's the real
baby's
gender
first
reveal when you can see.
Yeah. It's a baby. Oh my god. Yeah.
Now, speaking of AI, I've started a little journey. Input welcome, but this is the other night I was sitting here, and long story short, I was like, I wonder if I could use AI to write a book for me, and that I could sell. So I didn't have to do any work, but I could sell something, and it turns out that a lot of people have been doing this, and it's a whole thing. So I decided to try it, and the idea that came to mind was for me to have ChatGPT write a book about how to use ChatGPT and what ChatGPT was. And so I asked ChatGPT to write this book, and he's like, that's a lot of work. I asked for 50 pages. It was like, that's a big undertaking. I can make you an outline, and you can write it. And it gives me this outline. But it was a whole lot. It was a whole table of contents. And then I was like, can you write chapter 1, section 1? And then it gave me a page or two. And I was like, cool. Can you write chapter 1, section 2? And it did that. And I was like, all right. And so I manually made it do each section. And then I started refining my prompts to be like, all right, we're on chapter 5 without repeating any of the other shit and adding only new content. And I started learning things I had to say to kind of like, no.
To coax it.
To coax it the right thing and find it. So anyway, I finally went through it. Today I finished its 10-chapter outline that it gave me, and it wrote it all. And I was like, all right, satisfied. I have a book about ChatGPT. I was reading it and learning things about it as I went. I was like, oh, cool. And so then...
As you wrote the book.
Yeah, so then I had this new idea, and I was like, well, ChatGPT, have you played with it at all?
No.
Okay, it's fun.
Really? I use it literally every day of my life.
Yeah.
So I realized, do you know what it is, right?
I mean, vaguely. Yeah. I live under a rock.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
It's an AI. It's what old people think Google is. Like old people.
That's a great way to
thank you.
describe it.
I'm not there, but
Yeah.
I'm probably close to that. Yeah.
Old people think Google is an intelligence that you could talk to and it tells you things. And you
This
could be
is.
like, Google, what should I feed my baby after 9 o'clock? I don't know.
Cool
I don't know where that
Ranch
came from.
Dorito.
Yeah. And Google could tell you. Google just pulls up relevant search results on the internet, but ChatGPT could tell you, and have an opinion. It's ingested the entire internet theoretically, and maybe other things. I don't know. But it's smart enough to be able to like take all that information into account and spit out stuff.
Right.
Generative content. Okay, so
Weirdly impressive, yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I got this book. And I was like, what if I had chapter 1 read in the style of Malcolm Gladwell? And so I put that in because I was like, it was it was very bullet pointy. It's not a fun book to read.
Right.
And so I was like, write this like Malcolm Gladwell would. And I didn't love how Malcolm Gladwell would read this information. So then I changed it to Tim Ferriss, and I was like, that's cool. And then I was like, wait a minute. What if every chapter of this book was written by like one of the top-selling authors of all time?
Yeah.
So then I went through a list of the best-selling business books. And so we got Tim Ferriss. He's not an author, but Joe Rogan just for fun. And then Brené Brown and on and on. I just did some of the best. What's his name? Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. He does a chapter anyway. And Daniel Kahneman and Steve Levitt. I had them. Each chapter is read in their tone. Then I made a foreword by Malcolm Gladwell where he gives a glowing review.
Because you got to have that, yeah.
And then I was like, you got to have the reviews in the beginning of the book. So I was like, okay, who would I want to review this thing? And I was like, Stephen King.
Journal.
And then I was like, Steven Spielberg. And I realized, like, there's kind of a lot of famous Stevens. So anyway, I did the top 10 most famous Stevens, all reviewing the book. And so then I went down. So I'm on this whole fucking rabbit trail right now. I went on Fiverr earlier, and I was like, okay, I can pay a guy $100 to edit this book. And then I could pay somebody else $100 to format it into an ebook. And then I found an AI, there's plenty of these out there, but a website that will allow you to synthesize your own AI models of voices and have it read. So I tried it out on the Joe Rogan chapter. It's passable enough to be funny for an audiobook. And so I'm like, okay, I'll make AI models of all of these famous authors, have them all read their AI version, read the chapters, put it out as an audiobook, create an advertising plan by ChatGPT, and make art for it with Midjourney, which is AI generative art.
Right.
So anyway, I don't know why I brought that up other than we were talking about AI, and this is what I'm doing right now for fun and potentially
Well, it's only going
profit.
to get easier to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, it's wild.
Back in my day, you had to copy paste each section.
Yeah. Where's Clippy? Where's the Clippy guy that would tell me
They
what to
retired
do?
Clippy.
I know.
He's gone.
I know. I haven't
Sorry.
opened a Word doc, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Yeah, why would you?
Exactly. Yeah.
But everything I just said is like, I think I'm enjoying it because it's the antithesis of everything we do with art. I told Wes
Yeah.
earlier, I'm like, everything I do is something I really care about and I want to be timeless and important. Or somebody's paying me to do something they feel that way about. Like art is so
subjective.
It's subjective, and you're very invested in it, or somebody. Hopefully, the whole team is. You're all really invested in this baby, and it goes to market, and maybe it does great, and maybe it does bad, but you put so much into it.
Right.
And I was like, I want to do something. I don't care about it all, but maybe it makes money, and that's my AI journey here.
But I do think, like, a great point in that is like, kind of what I'm saying, like someone with like a record, like if someone wants to hire me for a record, but maybe I'm like not into it, and I'm just like, hey, this guy would be great. Just because I'm not into it doesn't mean that what you're doing is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then you could just have the Keith AI bot do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because like my tastes are subjective. Like I'm not gonna get hired for a pop record. That's just not gonna happen. Like every once in a while I can have like elements of pop in a song, but like no one's coming to me for beats, or stuff like that. Like I'm not that guy, but yeah, I think if I could have learned that early on, that like just because someone doesn't just gobble it up doesn't mean that it's bad.
Yeah.
That's I think the whole point of like,
Where do you think that, like, oh, I lost the question. Because I feel like it's, there's something in people that you just develop the ability to go, like, I think this is good. I believe it's good. Like, I'll bet you probably feel that way about majority of the records you make, or at least a lot of them. By the end of it, you're like, if no one else thinks this is good, I know that
Mm-hmm.
I know it's good. Like I have an inner compass that tells me it's good.
Yeah, because if you make, I think, art for yourself, like if an artist is like, I believe in these songs or song or whatever, and I'm gonna put everything I have into it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability, and if I can get behind that and help them make that thing, it's gonna go so much better for them in the long run. To have something that you believe in, instead of just trying to be a flash in the pan. Like, I'm just trying to make this algorithm thing happen. 2 years, you're going to hate it. Maybe 2 days, you're going to hate it. And then it can... God, man. This guy.
He's not even visible on the camera, so no one knows what you're talking about.
This is just
I
me.
can't even.
I'm just old man, cranky, annoyed. Like, good Lord, what is this guy doing in here? But yeah, like I wish that, like, you could take an artist and like shake them, like when just the algorithm doesn't play out in their favor.
Yeah.
You know, that like it's okay. Try again. Like, do the thing that you were supposed to do. And that's kind of like my production career got like exponentially better when it was like, I'm not going to do these things anymore. Like this style of like, I just can't do this. This just doesn't feel like me. Every time I do it, it sounds like I'm just trying way too hard. Like I'm just like, that's not for me. 'Cause there's 1,000 other people probably in my neighborhood that can do it, you know, like the guy that took my Starbucks order or whatever is probably better at it than I am. And that's okay, because there's room for everybody. Everybody can, like, you know.
Especially now more than any other time in human history.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's some of the things that are really sticking to me from this episode, like advice from you. One, there's room for everybody. I feel like that's something not everybody knows, actually. But even if you do, that's something you have to remind yourself of all the time, because being in this town or being in any major city, where Nashville's a weird place where, like, if you're doing music, you're this town calls itself as Music City. Like, theoretically, that's what this city's about, kind of, maybe. And bad roads, but
It's mostly about the bad
That's
roads.
a bad road, yeah.
but you're like, to feel like there's room for everybody, even if you think there is so hard. That is like it's just so hard not to be envious when you watch someone you know blow up for doing the same thing you do, but worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You have to, but I think, anyway, keeping that in mind, I think that's just important for your mental health and your emotional health, to be like, it's okay. I can make a living at this. And if you're not making a living from your music yet, you can, if you just work really hard and keep going and keep trying and figure out what you're good at and mostly do that. And which takes me to the second thing that you said, like learning how to like just do what you're good at and starting to like put away the things you're not.
Yeah. I spent a long time, like, probably if you looked at like the first 10 years of my like production career, it was me playing everything. And then you do a record where it's like you get people in a room and you're like, oh, I really like this. You know, like then that like scratches that itch and like, oh, I really like it. And then you move to Nashville, you know, years later, and then you get like throw a rock and you can get a great player, you get, you know, great drummer, you get all these different guys that then have something like super valuable to like bring to the table, and it's really cool. And then I find myself like, well, I don't even have to like do much today because these guys are just crushing it. It's kind of like Chat GPT. I put in some prompts, but the session guys are like they're the AI.
Yeah,
and
sometimes
they're just,
that is what
and they're
producers
just
like.
churning stuff out. You know, it's like, goodness. I mean, when I first moved to town, like it was super fun to like be in the room with Dan Needham. I don't know if you guys know Dan Needham. Dan Needham playing drums. Like,
Is he related to? No.
I don't know who he's related to.
Okay.
Killer drummer. Like his feel is just like off the charts. And it's like you get him with like Brett Milligan playing bass. And it's like, and they've played together for years. And then they take a song that was like already a good song, and then it just keeps on. And then you get a good guitar player that like isn't just churning out power chords and is like doing tasty stuff. And then they're all listening to the vocal. And then everything becomes about this vocal, and it's like this whole song starts to move. And like that to me is like the most inspiring thing I think about being in this town. So, yeah.
Well, with that,
I'll say we are coming up on our time here. You're way too early with that. That's all right. I'll take it. So we are coming up pretty close to our time here. Before we do, there's one question that we ask.
Okay.
Every guest. Mm-hmm. It's the only question we ever plan. And this is it. So here's the thing. If you had to choose.
and you do.
And you do.
Okay.
Now, the important thing to note about this question is the answer must not come from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, where does it come from?
Do you want to explain to everybody where he's pointing? For the audio only listeners.
Unagi from his head. Yeah.
Like a Friends reference. Mm-hmm. No, the answer must come from.
Okay.
The heart, sorry.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So if you had to choose.
Oh, sorry. Can you? And you do.
And you do. Now, what that actually means coming from your heart and not your head.
Wesley, maybe you should come out and press the cameras for a second. That really
get
fucks
me
him up.
really agitated. Yeah.
What that actually means, coming from your heart and not your head, is that I need an answer quickly.
Very.
I want the answer that's
immediately.
already deep in your soul.
Okay.
I don't want you to think about this
Until
question.
my ADHD
Don't
keeps
filter
in
it.
check.
Yeah. Let that go.
Okay,
Let the
yeah.
ADHD just run wild.
Okay.
So if you had to choose.
And
I do. Yeah.
And you
And I do. Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite kind of turtle?
Turtle. Box turtle.
Box turtle!
that was very. You said it like fucking obviously.
Like, obviously. Why would anybody ever choose anything different? This is the only turtle for me.
I'm not going to go snapping.
Everybody goes snapping.
Box turtle.
Yeah,
He's
box-
chill. He's
Yeah.
cool. Come on.
All right.
Easy to find.
If you need an extra one.
Yeah. And I'm not going like, what are the big ones like the Galapagos Islands?
No, yeah, no.
Can't keep up
I think
with
those
those.
are tortoises.
Tortoises, yeah.
Which
are like technically not turtles.
No.
maybe?
We've learned. I think we learned last time that they technically are turtles.
Yeah.
But
Very divisive turtle, the tortoise.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still not sure what
Right
to think
here.
about them.
It says box.
Right there,
Yeah.
it's written on your heart.
Yeah.
Your heart-shaped box turtle.
Q Nirvana.
Yeah.
I love that we barely talked about music.
I was thinking earlier. I was like, wow, this is like the most we talked about music in a while. I think.
Oh, wow. I was like, the last few days, I'm like, I am not going to, I don't have anything good to say.
I'm
like,
surprised
I'm
that
going to
we-
be trying to reach for some musical
Oh.
wisdom, and I don't have it.
Did you think I was going to be like, God, what do you put after a 1 major 7? If you had to choose.
I don't know. Most I guess most of the stuff questions I get from people after a record comes on is usually like, what was your vocal chain? The same one it's been for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just that's the thing. That's a really hard thing about getting into audio engineering is if you talk to people who know how to do it, they will tell you it's like, it doesn't even matter.
It
And you're like,
doesn't, yeah.
But the thing is it has to really matter a lot, so much for 10 to 15 years for you to get to the point where it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. For you to get that weird Mr. Miyagi moment. But the thing is you have to be able to hear why, if it's good or bad.
Yeah. It's that dumb Slate VMS mic for me. Last year I got one just because everyone kept saying it was good, and I hate that I love it.
Yeah.
And I don't even use the software.
I hate that you love it.
I don't even use the software, like the mic modeling thing.
Uh-huh.
It's
That's
just,
the whole point.
Yeah, and I don't even use it. I just like that dumb mic. Like I want to like rehouse it in like a cool mic. So like my cool factor.
So nobody knows.
Yeah. Like yeah.
Yeah. No, those podcasts exist. I just think it really is like a thing that I commented on this guy's. Have you heard of the Cowboy Drummer? No. Just an Instagram who's so famous to like 300,000 people and no one else knows him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how fame works a lot now.
Yeah. He does these videos just of like him playing drums, but in like weird, funny, bizarre ways. He just does bizarre things with things that aren't drums and turns them into drums and just weird shit.
Because he's a cowboy.
He's a cowboy.
Okay.
I don't know how I even found him, but like I don't even know if I like his content, but I see it sometimes. And he posted a video the other day, and it was this audio engineer, and it was like audio engineer number 1, and he's like kick, and the guy kicks the drum like 4 times, and he's like and he's like moves on snare, and then it's audio engineer number 2, and he's just spending way too much time on the kick, and he's doing a goofy face, and it's clearly his point is like, oh, there's some guys who spend way too long on your kick drum, and they don't know what they're doing. And I made a comment on there that was something to the effect of like, yeah, number 1 isn't that good. Number 2, like, yeah, he got you through quick, but he didn't spend enough time to do anything. Number 2, he's trying so hard, he can't even control his face. That's why his face looks goofy. Like, he can't even control his face because he's so deep in his head of trying to make this kick drum something great, and he's trying so hard. Anyway, this comment has received like 300 likes as a fucking comment on some guy's thing. And I've had a few people come along and try to be like, no, the first guy. But the deal is, to me, like, I do think that you can get to where you're the first guy, where you can do a kick drum in 5 seconds and move on. Yeah. And you don't need to spend an hour on it. Right. But you had to spend 10 years being the second guy, where you like, you tweaked the shit out of it and you got esoteric with EQ. You just have to become
you become more bold because you're the second guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it starts to like you become the first guy by then learning like, hey, we need to tune your bass drum.
Yeah.
Like, or we need to like, you know,
solid point.
Yeah, we like that your drums just don't sound very good. Let's get your drums sounding good and then we can we can move on.
Sounds to me like you were trying to start an argument on the internet.
No,
and
I
you
wasn't.
know what they say about arguing on the internet.
You always lose?
No.
Always do it?
I realize as I said that it's a really off-color joke, and I won't say it on camera.
Yeah, it was appropriate 15 years ago. I had enough... it wasn't very much to drink, but I had a drink last night and not much food during the day, and it was enough that Greg Wells was commenting on about the Israel-Hamas situation. And some guy said something fucking like atrocious, and I thought I'll reply to that guy and let him know that what he said was bad. And as I did it, I was like, this is only because of alcohol. I'm dumb enough to
every
try.
day when I get on social media, like I just don't comment at all anymore.
Yeah.
The only comments are like, that was cool, good job. Because I just like no matter what like even if you like you have a great defense to your point, someone else is just gonna like ruin it. Yeah. And my personality is like, if I like tried to be eloquent and like put something out there and like, no, I think what we really need to do is like, you know, X, Y, Z. And then someone's like, F you, you know, they come along. Like I won't sleep for 3 days. I will like, it will just play over and over in my head. And just, you know, then I just slip down. I'm like, well, I'm going to go eat a whole pizza.
Yeah. So I guess the moral is don't comment on this
just
episode.
stay away from it.
Stay away.
Yeah, or leave comments. That's fine. I'll read them.
Yeah. Hey, something tells me you wouldn't stay awake for 3 days.
Stay awake?
Yeah.
For 3
like
days?
the comments wouldn't bother you.
Oh, no.
You seem impervious to comments.
I'm a have grown up and never left the internet space. Like I'm so desensitized to everything on account of that like you can say whatever you want to me. I don't care.
I have things from like my childhood that every once in a while, I'll be like, oh God, that happened. You know, like
there's cringe moments I'll remember. But.
Yeah. That's why I don't watch fail videos or cringe videos because I lived it. Still living it.
I'm over here just dead inside, like that guy might have died.
Dumb asshole.
What are you doing? I'm a broken human. But on that note, before we do get out of here, where can the people find you?
You stated earlier it's hard to do.
It's really hard to find.
Yeah, you said you got no
Like,
website.
I don't have a website. I guess Instagram is probably the best place.
Is it Keith Harris?
No, I don't even know what it is.
I talked to you there.
You did.
I probably could find it.
K Harris 115.
That's
my
meaningful
handle.
numbers to you.
Yeah, and my bio is I'll probably forget to text you back, which is very, very true. Yeah. Sorry to everyone that. Yeah,
That's ever text you.
Yeah.
I want my text messages to have an autoresponder that's just like,
Why don't
if
you can
I
set
don't
that, why don't you set
teach-
that up?
Do you have that?
Chat GPT.
Do iPhones
Yeah.
not have that?
No, maybe I don't know.
iPhone's garbage.
I want my thing to be messaging people like, hey, if I didn't reply, it's not because I don't like you. It's because I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing something else.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I've stopped telling people that. I just assume if you know me and I don't text you back, you understand that.
You understand because you're
that
bad.
I look at my phone once a day. Like I'm not a phone guy at all.
I mean, I look at my phone all the time. I just don't do it.
As
I'll do
long
it
as
later.
you're
Now-
equal opportunity, don't reply to anyone.
Yeah.
It's
well,
fair.
usually I just don't see it. But if you call me, even if I'm looking right at my phone and you call me, I'm not answering
Yeah.
because
It depends on who
text
calls.
Me. Text me.
Like if we're making a record, like the communication's gonna be good.
Sure. Yeah. If I'm expecting
Yeah.
or like there's something going on.
Yeah.
But if you just call me like an asshole, let's be
Yeah.
real. I'm not answering. And if you text me and be like, it's important, call me, I'll call you.
Yeah.
I will answer the phone for literally anyone unless my phone says scam likely. I will answer for unknown
Oh no, I'm
numbers.
more likely to answer those. I love talking to scammers. It's like a weird.
What if it
hobby.
said what if it said scam for sure? And you're like,
I'm in.
Yeah. Likely, yeah. Yeah.
No.
I'm very thankful that in this town I've got like two really good friends that if they don't hear from me for like a good bit, like the phone will start blowing up.
Mm.
And when we do that for each other,
Yeah.
because you just get in the thick of it, and then
Yeah.
you get someone to like, hey, have a life, come do something. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but there's an understanding there. That's why it works.
yeah, yeah.
But
So say your Instagram one more time because it's
K Harris 115.
115.
Yeah.
What does the 115 stand for?
That's my wedding anniversary, January 15th. Yeah.
K Harris 115. And now everyone knows what day to send you an anniversary gift, so there's no excuse this year.
Please do. Please do. Yeah.
But as always, guys, thanks for coming to hang out. You guys have been awesome, and we'll see y'all next time.
Take me back to where it started. Small town living in an open state. Back to drifting down the Bighorn River with the people that'll shoot me straight. The big old sky, the brightest stars. I think I finally found what I've been looking for. I finally found what I was looking for. I finally found what I was looking for. I finally found what I was looking for. Maybe simple, but it's so much more. I finally found what I was looking for. Take me back to where I found it. That old house there on that ridge. Sipping whiskey and laughing loudly. I found my people there in Fort Smith. That big old sky, often miss. That's what I found heading for Smith. I found